I see why they call you Jack Man. You Jack Man's whole swag, give Drake his flow back, man. I eat rappers like Pac-Man. Must I regurgitate and show you who's in my stomach from the last dance? I battle rap, no Instagrams or yelling at the cam. Damn, y'all may be the villain when all along I've been Batman.
In the hip-hop and rap genre, how you're perceived in the eyes of others is very important. If you're seen as one of the best by many within the craft, you're set until you screw it up. If you're seen as a punk, that's what you're going to be until you prove them wrong. Just ask 6ix9ine. He's still trying to prove himself relevant. But arguably, one of the greatest sins you can do in the rap industry is say that you're something or label yourself as something without any proof or standing. That's exactly what happened with Jack Harlow. We'll break that down for you. But first, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. What Jack said. Nearly a year after dropping his sophomore album, Come Home, The Kids Miss You, Jack Harlow returned on Friday with his latest full-length offering, Jackman. The second song on the 10-track project, They Don't Love It, sees Harlow boast about his status as the best white rapper since Eminem. Ya boy striving to be the most dominant ever, the hardest white boy since the one who rapped about vomit and sweaters.
Striving to be the most dominant ever, the hardest white boy since the one who rapped about vomit and sweaters. And hold the comments, cause I promise you I'm honestly better.
Harlow raps on his first verse, referencing an iconic line, "There's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti," from M's 2002 hit single, Lose Yourself.
Palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti.
And hold the comments, cause I promise you I'm honestly better than whoever came to your head right then. They ain't cut from the same thread like him. They don't study doing work to get ahead like him. They don't toss and turn in the fucking bed like him. Jack spits in the next few lines. Harlow has never shied away from citing Eminem as one of his biggest influences, as the Louisville rapper opened up about idolizing the Detroit MC in a November 2020 episode of GQ's Actually Me video series. I grew up listening to Eminem, Harlow shared. I idolized Eminem, big influence of mine while growing up. I mean, he's so dope. But also, obviously, I remember when I was 10 or 11, I would wear like a toboggan and hoodie and headphones around my neck, because I wanted to feel like him. A year later, during an interview with Billboard at the 2021 MTV Video Music Awards, Harlow shed light on a phone call he had with M following their collaboration, Killer. "We didn't get to meet, but we had a phone call that meant the world to me," Harlow said. "I haven't shared it with the world yet, but I can't wait until the world hears it. He gave me a lot of props that any artist would love to get. Sometimes the best gem is just somebody you admire letting you know who you think you are. He let me know, you're that, you're dope. I've waited a decade to hear that, so it was special." So yeah, there's a lot to process there. If it wasn't for the quotes he made about Eminem and how he had been praised by him and that he looked up to Eminem, it would have been easy to say that he was tugging on Superman's cape and that he should know better. But in this case, he's clearly referencing the man who is his musical idol, and that's to be respected to an extent. For example, him praising Eminem in his track, that's totally fair and something he should feel like doing more often. But saying he's the hardest white rapper since Eminem, that's a bit of a stretch, as many people would tell you. The social media reaction. You see, when you put out statements like that, especially in a musical track, people are going to hear it, and then people are going to spread it around, and then they're going to talk about it. While the first two things are good, the third can be problematic depending on what you said. When word of this spread on places like Twitter, the comments sections of posts with the quote ate Jack Harlow up alive. Not the least of which is that there are more experienced white rappers who've had a harder life in the music industry than Harlow has. Many people cited Logic as one example, who happens to be a good friend to Eminem. Another cited the late Mac Miller, who, like Eminem, struggled with his personal life while he was excelling in the music space. Now yes, there were some who agreed with him, but if you want to look at this from the whole perspective, you have to admit that Jack Harlow definitely reached there. As we noted earlier, he's only released 2 albums and a few tracks outside them, and he's hardly done what Eminem and other white rappers have done in their careers. Now, if he said he wanted to be the next Eminem and prove he's the hardest since him, that's one thing, but saying you're that right now, that's different. Granted, at least he's trying to compliment Eminem while praising him, versus others who have said some rather unique things about Eminem in the past. Melly Mel. A certain someone named Melly Mel had some thoughts on Eminem and his career a few months back, and it wasn't exactly the most positive of stuff. Specifically, Melly Mel wasn't doubting Eminem's skills on the mic, but he does feel that he wouldn't be ranked as high as he is if it wasn't for the color of his skin. The conversation came up when discussing Billboard's recent list of the top 50 rappers of all time, where Eminem landed at number 5, which if we're being honest, is not bad. Some would arguably put him higher, but some could easily put him lower. Melly Mel, who's number 48 on the list, began. Obviously, he's a capable rapper. If he was talking about sales, he sold more than everybody. If you were talking about rhyme style, okay, he got a rhyme style, but he's white. He's white. So now if Eminem was another like the rest of us, would he be top 5 on that list when that could rhyme just as good as him is 35, that had records and all that? He's 35. He's white. He continued, and anybody could be as mad. They could feel how they want to feel. If you don't think that race plays a part in the equation of how great he is, I heard one of the dudes that's down with him, Royce the 6ix9ine or one of those, I heard he's just as good as Eminem. Why he ain't as big as Eminem? Because he's black. Ain't none of that shit hard to figure out. Eminem gets a top spot because he's white.
What you think about Eminem being at number 5 on the Billboard Top 50 Rappers of All Time list?
Obviously, he's a capable rapper. If you was talking about sales, he sold more than everybody. If you're talking about rhyme style, okay, he got a rhyme style. But he's white. He's white. So now if Eminem was just another like all the rest of us, would he be top 5 on that list when that could rhyme just as good as him is 35? That had records and all that. He's 35. He's white. So now you could be, anybody could be as mad as they could feel how they want to feel. If they don't think that race plays a part in the equation of how great he is. I heard one of the dudes that's down with him, Royce the 6ix9ine, I heard he's just as good as Eminem. Why ain't he as big as Eminem? Because he black. Ain't none of that shit hard to figure out. Eminem gets a top spot because he's white.
That's another set of statements where you can easily say there's a lot to process in, because he was literally bringing his skin color into the mix and saying that people were biased in the positive way for him because of it. Meanwhile, others said that Eminem was only legendary because of who helped him along the way. Snoop Dogg. Yeah, if you don't respect the words of Melly Mel, perhaps you'll respect the words of Snoop Dogg. This happened back in 2020 for those who didn't hear this back then. Speaking to The Breakfast Club, Snoop began by recalling Dr. Dre's rise from NWA to co-founding Death Row Records and becoming the dopest producer in hip-hop history. And there's no doubt that he's right in that regard. Dr. Dre is a legend in all the ways that matter, from making music and songs to dope albums, and of course his headphones that made him super rich. He's done it all in the right way, which is why he was picked to help headline the Super Bowl alongside Eminem. And Dr. Dre could have easily been on that top 5 list too. Snoop then went on to praise Dre for successfully discovering rap talents across the US. Snoop cited Eminem as an example of an artist who had their career launched by Dre. Eminem, the great white hope. White rappers had zero respect in rap. Let's keep that one though. Wow.
Eminem, the great white hope. White rappers had zero respect in rap. Let's keep that 1,000. When you talking about this hip hop shit that I can't live without, I can live without that.
Snoop said. Dre has probably put Eminem in a position where he would be considered one of the top 10 rappers ever. I don't think so, but the game feels like that he's top 10 lyricist and all that comes with it. That's just because he's with Dr. Dre, and Dr. Dre helped him find the best Eminem that he could find. There's a lot to dig into there. So if Eminem is not in the top 10 of the Snoop D-O-double-G, then who exactly are in his mind? He was willing to reveal this on The Breakfast Club in part. There's some in the 80s that Eminem can't f with, Snoop continued. Like Rakim, like Big Daddy Kane, like KRS-One, like LL Cool J, like Ice Cube. Which goes to show a lot about what Snoop is looking for in his top 10, because without a doubt he went for more of the classics, and the ones that helped build up the genre. Though it's curious he didn't mention Biggie Smalls or Tupac, but that's another list entirely. But of course, Ice Cube was a part of NWA, along with Dr. Dre, and they most definitely left a major impact on the rap industry as a whole. And LL Cool J is a man who not just embodied rap in some ways, he transcended it like Snoop, as he later became a major Hollywood actor, including being a lead role in NCIS Los Angeles. Though for some who still think or feel that the words he spoke about Slim Shady were meant as a diss, let the D-O-double-G put that to rest. Snoop said, "It is what it is," but maintained that Eminem did that to the fullest and is still one of my teammates, one of my brothers. But when you're talking about this hip-hop shit that I can't live without, I can live without that. It should be noted that these came well before he, Dre, Eminem, and more headlined the Super Bowl halftime show and proved how rap was a part of the world's culture. But as you can see, everyone has a different way to view Eminem for better or for worse. Yet if we flip this around, what does it say about Eminem himself? Eminem's legacy. No matter where you fall in the Eminem debate, one of the greatest ever, or someone who was pushed to success, you can't deny the impact that Slim Shady had on the rap game. Even now, well into the twilight years of his career, people are still talking about him. And then you have people like Jack Harlow, who are trying to be the next version of him. His time in the industry, which lasts over 20 years when you talk his professional stuff, has been significant. So, bringing it back to Jack Harlow, is he the hardest since Eminem? No, Eminem was the hardest, not just because of his music, but because of his life, the things he did and didn't do to push himself to the next level and get over his issues and struggles. Eminem has beaten the odds time and time again, and that helped him get to the top and stay there for some time. So until Jack Harlow can say he did things like that or was on top like that, he's just saying words. And there you go, everyone, a look at what Jack Harlow said and whether it holds any water. Do you think that Jack has a point about his position in the white rapper space? Or is he as delusional as everyone else who thinks they're Eminem, but not? Do you hope that Eminem comes out and helps set him straight before he puts his foot in his mouth further? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.